this has gone completely unnoticed as the Thunder have an insane chance to extend a potential dynasty next season. And yes, they have the players right now to go out there and win a championship. We all know the West got so much more difficult after this offseason, and it's not even over yet, all right? Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren haven't signed their extensions yet, even though they are extension eligible. Shai signed his Supermax. Okay, that's amazing. We're getting Nikola Topic back. Thomas Schwarber is going to be part of this team now as well, who has a ton of potential as a backup big for the Thunder. But that's not the only thing. Their future draft capital has them set up to where financially they just have to worry about keeping three main guys on this team of Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and they can replenish any player that they end up missing out on in free agency that leave them after the contract is done or they have to trade them due to financial struggles and difficulties. They can just replace them with some young guys as role players out of the draft with all these draft picks that they have. And they even have a chance of having multiple lottery picks next year in the 2026 draft class. I know that's super far away, but I'm going to go ahead and break down to you guys how this is possible and why. It is, I don't want to say it's very likely, but it is likely the Thunder can end up with at least one lottery pick next year in the draft, which would be huge when they have players like Isaiah Hartenstein eventually leaving in free agency. Before we get into all that, though, quick moment to recognize that we are at 5,952 subscribers. We are less than 50 subs away from hitting 6,000 subs here on the channel. I just once again want to thank you guys, so much for the support that you guys have shown this channel throughout, the past year and almost a year and a half since we've been doing this now, about a year and 3 months that this channel has been a thing. So thank you guys for all the constant support you guys have shown me here at Thunder Digest. I'm not leaving here anytime soon. With that out of the way, let's go ahead, get into today's video talking about how they could potentially have multiple draft picks going in. Or no, not to say potential. They will have multiple draft picks, but potentially multiple lottery picks next year, okay? Bryson, how's this possible? What do you mean that they could potentially have all these draft picks? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at their future draft capital, which is a huge thing that, teams, executives, all right, players, even media members are talking about with the Thunder, about why they're going to be so good for years to come. Yes, you got Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander lining out your big three, but these are their future picks. The Thunder have all 7 of their own future picks, okay? They have an unprotected pick from the Clippers next year in 2026. Top 4 protected from Houston, 2026. Top 8 protected from Utah, 2026. Top 4 protected from Philly, both in 2026 and 2027. Top 5 protected from Denver, 2027. And, top 5 protected in 2028. So we'll have both those, and Denver will start going down the hill a little bit in this Western Conference by then as well. All right, top 5 protected from Denver 2029 if first conveyed in 2027. Top 5 protected in 2030 if first conveyed by 2028. So those, it just kind of keeps going down the line if, they don't convey to the Thunder. Swap rights to the Clippers in 2027. Swap rights to Houston. This was his past draft. Ended up having, not using their pick. And then swap rights, this is a big one as well. Swap rights to Dallas in 2028. We know how Dallas is looking. They're getting super old. Yes, they have Cooper Flagg now, but a lot of their players on that team are getting older in age. Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, 3 of their biggest players on that team potentially could be retiring or at the end of their prime and no longer be on that team by 2028. That is a huge pick to keep your eyes on if you are a Thunder fan because it could be a lottery pick. The picks we're most invested in, though, are in 2026. I want to go ahead and pull it up one more time for you guys so we can go ahead and look at it. We have Clippers unprotected, top 4 protected Houston, top 8 protected from Utah, top 4 protected from Philly. So 4 draft picks along for our own right there, okay? The worst one ends up being a swap. It goes, whatever our worst one is goes to a team. I think it's to the Wizards right now is what it is. So that's what happens. So we should be the 1 seed. 30th pick won't be ours. We're not necessarily worried about that. But we could potentially have 4. More than likely just 3. That's a realistic one. As Utah, they'll probably be one of the worst teams in the Western Conference, the worst teams in the league again. So that one won't convey unless some, insane luck happens for the Thunder. That one won't convey. All right. But everything else, the Thunder should get. Every other pick the Thunder should be able to get. Well, Bryson, what do you mean they should be able to get it? The Western Conference is tough. The Clippers were the 5th seed last year. The Sixers, we had their top 6 protected pick. And they ended up getting the 3rd pick in the draft. Well, it's because of all the moves and circumstances that happened last year than this offseason that made these scenarios happen for the Thunder. All right, so this one right here, we're going to go and take a look at the Western Conference. As you can see, the Clippers won 50 games. That is very impressive, okay? 50 games, they were the 5 seed, ended up getting their pick. They were a really good team last year. The problem is, there are teams below them that improved this year. The Mavericks, in my opinion, improved, okay? The Grizzlies improved. The Spurs are going to be better as well, all right? The Nuggets also got a little bit better as well. They're going to be in a fight from that 6 to 10 range. They might not make the playoffs, all right? That's a crazy thing to think of, that the Clippers, and they have a good team, they're also getting older in age. Is Kawhi Leonard going to be able to stay healthy? What about Harden? Can Zubac and Powell replicate the kind of season they had last year? Norman Powell is 34 years old now. Can he replicate what he did last season to the next one? There's no telling, all right? They're kind of the same team as they were last season, and you can't be doing that in the Western Conference. The reason the Thunder can is because they're so young. The problem with the Clippers is they're very old. You can't be the same team and expect to get better, because with age, the older you get, the worse you're going to be, especially after that 30-year-old mark. The Thunder will be better because they're getting up there in age. They're getting older because they're so young. Jalen Williams, 24. Chet Holmgren, 23. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just turning, he's about to turn 27. All these guys super young, and they're not even in their prime yet. Rockets just added Kevin Durant. That's always going to help you out. They had a great offseason. Nuggets had a great offseason. Lakers, they'll find a way to hang around that 5, 4, and 6 spot. Minnesota, same thing as well. And then it's going to be a fight for that 6 through 11 spot between San Antonio, Dallas, Sacramento, Memphis, Golden State, and the Clippers. Those 6 teams are going to be fighting to either stay out of the play-in or make the play-in right there. And I think the Clippers will be a play-in team because of how much better teams got this year. Do not be surprised because of D'Lo being this backup point guard for the Mavericks right now. For them, you see him right here at 10. For them to jump up to 7, maybe even 6, and make the playoffs. Do not be surprised if that happens. So that Clippers pick is very, very valuable, okay? The next thing we're going to look at is the Eastern Conference. This is what the East looked like last year. As you can see, Philadelphia, 3rd worst team in the Eastern Conference. They only had 24 wins. This is also due to the fact that they dealt with a ton of injuries. If Jared McCain never got injured, he was Rookie of the Year, and they're definitely, at the bare minimum, a play-in team. And we, more than likely get that pick, over to the Thunder, and we have a lottery pick, okay? Yeah, that was just some unlucky stuff that happened for the Sixers, then also for the Thunder, okay? Next season, though, they should be much better. VJ Edgecombe, Jared McCain healthy, Tyrese Maxey, all right? And if Joel Embiid and Paul George can stay healthy, they'll be a playoff team in a weakened down Eastern Conference. The Hawks are going to jump up to, top 3 seed in my opinion, okay? Boston's going to jump down to the play-in. Milwaukee's going to stay where they're at. Indiana's going to jump down. Detroit's going to jump up a spot or 2. Cleveland should stay where they're at, okay? The Philadelphia 76ers should find a spot in the playoffs, not the play-in, in the playoffs, and the Thunder should be able to get their pick right there. So those are 3 picks that we mentioned. Houston, Clippers, and Philadelphia that the Thunder should be able to get. They should. And you might be thinking, why are we talking about this right now? Well, there are some headline names in that draft class, in 2026 draft class right now, like Cameron Boozer, which he's projected to go top 5 right now. Some draft models have him going number 1 overall over AJ over at BYU, I'm pretty sure. So it's going to be interesting to see. But with the amount of picks that they can have, they should have a lottery pick, in my opinion, in the Clippers. All right, in that 10 to 14 range. And then they should also have a pick probably like 20 from the Sixers, and then probably pick 28 from the Rockets. You can try to package all those up and move into the top 5 if you want, because the Thunder are going to be losing 1 or 2 players next season. Only 1 or 2. So you can go ahead and package those up and just replace, the one player that you miss out on not being able to keep him, and that's probably Isaiah Hartenstein, with someone in the draft. But Schwarber is going to be the Hartenstein replacement, so you can then prepare for someone else to leave the team once their contract's up and take someone in that top 5. Once again, it's just a replenishing, like, look, we realize in a year or 2 we can't have this guy, so let's go ahead and draft his replacement and have him develop under him for a season, and then he just steps into that starting or even bench role that we need him to be in. That's why this is going to be a potential dynasty in OKC. All these draft picks that they have is going to be able to elongate this dynasty they can form for 5 to 8 years. That's how long it could last in OKC. Do not expect the Thunder to be anything less than the 3 seed with this tough Western Conference for the next 5 years, because they have the talent and they have the capital to extend any championship window that they want. That's all I got for this video. Let me know if you guys think the Clippers are going to be a lottery team or not. All right. I just think with how tough the Western Conference is and how much older they're getting now, and their age is a bad thing when you look at Kawhi, Harden, and Powell. Their three main guys. They're just going to get worse. They're exiting their prime already. So that's why I think they're going to be a lottery team. But let me know what you guys personally think. I'll see you guys in the next video.